that photography has been a witness for myself of the very best and the worst moments in my life.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Chasing Light Collective, the collective by creators for creators. Today we're speaking to Argentine Conde, who is currently residing in the UK. Caleb, how are we?
Thank you, George. Thank you for that intro. And I'm good. I'm good. Happy to be here.
It's a shame about the weather today, isn't it? I don't know what the weather's like for you in the UK right now, but down
I think
here
that
it's
all
not that
over the
great.
UK, I think that all over the UK we have a very big grey cloud today. So yes.
Not quite like the weather you get in Argentina, though, or is that?
Yeah, in Argentina at the moment is one of the best times in the year to be there. Actually, is sunny and getting a little bit more fresh the air, but it's
Oh,
definitely
really? I bet
very.
you're really missing being home there, aren't you?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
Right. Well,
Um, On
Caleb,
the other hand, I'm very happy that here soon is going to start summer.
yes, we're getting there, aren't we? We're heading into spring as
Yeah,
we speak. So
definitely.
you know why you're here, and obviously you're playing a massive part of the project. You know, you one of the photographers in the book, and some of the work you've produced is similarly incredible. And we're going to talk all about that later on in this chat. But I think the best way to kick things off is just let's get right back to the beginning. You know, who was it? Where were you? Where was the first time you picked up a camera, and what inspired you to start, taking photos?
Hmm. It's a tricky question, honestly, because I don't remember how old I was. I think I was around 12 years old, probably, maybe 13,
Mm-hmm.
maybe even a little bit older. Um, but I remember finding this old vintage box at home that was from my mom. It was a case from when she used to be a photographer. And yeah, I was there just very neatly
So,
intact.
so your mum was a photographer as well.
My mom was a photographer as well, and she took it from my grandfather,
Wow. So
my dad's dad,
it
basically.
really runs in the family then, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah. My grandfather was a pioneer in Argentina in this little town because this is inside Buenos Aires, but where he went with his camera, yeah, no one ever had a camera there, so everyone was coming to him for photos, and well, then he moved to a bigger town where he continued with his family, and my mom learned from him photography, and well, then I got it. I used to have a very good relationship with my grandfather, and I used to look up to him a lot. I
Hmm.
don't remember much. I was quite old, quite young when he passed away, but
Oh, okay. That's such a
clearly,
shame. Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
but
you're
though
kind of
clearly I
living his
got a lot of
legacy.
inspiration from
Yeah.
him, and yeah,
That must feel. It must be quite a nice feeling though, and that you're kind of walking in the same footsteps. Is that a nice way of putting it? Kind
I
of.
think so.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean, uh, it's something that you feel right
Yeah.
when.
No, of course. I know exactly how that feels. I had a very close relationship with my grandfather. That wasn't a
Mhm.
photographer, but I know how that feels. And it's so interesting that in my family, I'm not the only person who's ever dabbled in photography. So this is really interesting to hear that not only was your mum a photographer, but your grandfather was also, like you said, a pioneer for his area, which is a hell of a story. That's like one for the grandkids in your own right. The
Yeah, I think I try to take it as inspiration, and always photography was a way of I kind of think as as a way of living, because my grandfather used to do it as a job. My mom used to do it as a job.
Mhm.
For me, it's a way of going out and just having and framing life in a through lenses of camera,
Sort
as
of
you know.
like self-expression, perhaps. Sort of
Yes,
the
yeah.
way you capture life is everyone wants to tell their own story. Is that sort of the way we're looking at it?
Yes, every moment probably has its own story, and also I like to use it as I like to think that I can inspire other people through photography, um, or thought provoking. photography also.
You're currently talking about that. You're currently running a sort of a movement in its own right, in the fact that I've seen on your Instagram that you're encouraging people to take part in a monthly challenge where they go out there and challenge themselves creatively, which is just, it really is inspiring. Like you're saying, you're bringing together in a very similar way that I'm bringing together creators within this book and this project, and try and inspire people to go and pick up a camera for the first time. And you're doing a very, very similar thing with what you're doing at the moment online. And where do you think that came from? Is that something you've been planning on doing for a while, or is it something you've always wanted to do?
Interesting. I think that for me, well, as you know, I travel a lot. I've been traveling a lot for the past 5 years around the
Mm-hmm.
world, and starting this project came about with the realization of I, I build these communities wherever I go, in different places, Asia, Europe,
Oh wow! So you've really have travelled then. So go on, talk. Let's talk about a bit more about that. So,
take distance from those people and
mhm.
from those great relationships. And I think that social media, in a way, and helping people to feel inspired and challenge ourselves, is a way to connect and create a very interesting bond in where, well, uh, like um, getting to how to put it into words,
That's okay. Honestly, take your time.
help
Take your time.
each other and understand how people are dealing through their own problems, and everyone is having kind of a similar problem at the moment, feeling maybe uninspired or not knowing really what to do, where to do, because of either the restrictions of lockdown or other people feeling that they can't really hang out. And building an online community, I think, is what is about mainly the project that I'm starting,
And
and
you know,
learning together.
I really, it resonates a lot with me. The whole idea that bringing together the community is exactly what this Chasing Light project is. We're trying to do. We're trying to bring people together, and people like yourselves who have these incredible stories to share. But what you were just saying about the international travel, it's, you sound like you've done your fair bit of traveling beforehand, before COVID's even hit. So, you know, talk to me a little bit about those places. Where have you been? The best places, some of the worst places you've been. Where do you want to go back to after coronavirus? Sort of those kind of things.
Oh, good.
I
I've
put you
been,
really on the spot there, haven't I?
yeah, yeah. That's a very interesting question. I'll tell you why in a moment,
Hmm.
because I've been in a lot of great places.
Hmm.
I consider myself really lucky. So the town where I come from is a very little town in Argentina.
Hmm.
It feels like we say it's like a tissue in Mar del Plata, where I come from,
Okay.
that you can get to know everyone. You go out and you walk around, and even it is fairly big. It has a lot of inhabitants, the city, but still it feels very small. And when I started to travel, was that I wanted to go out and explore other cultures, learn other languages, and also, yes, I think I felt inspired by a lot of movies and images, and said I want to go out and capture these stunning images and be able
Which
to come
which
back.
you really have. Like, for those of people who are listening or watching from home and don't know of your work, it's truly quite jaw dropping. Like some of the landscapes that I've seen from the work that you've sent so far for this project, like there's a there's a good couple of shots from the mountains, and I'm not the best of geography in the world, but you'll have to fill me in on where those are. But I presume, are they from Argentina, South America? The mountains
Yeah,
that you sent me.
yeah, totally. So the very first backpacking trip that I did was in Argentina. Was a solo trip, and that's what got me inspired. I met a lot of foreigners traveling through Patagonia,
Yep.
and that's when I decided to go out and travel outside. And well, I visit Europe, I visit Southeast Asia. I met my
Wow.
current fiance in the UK, in Scotland, and we continue
Wow.
traveling together. Yes, some of the best places that I've
Yeah,
been.
Sorry, Caleb. How old are you now?
I am 20. Oh,
You've forgotten how old you are.
I think I'm 28 at the moment. At the moment,
28. You think, we'll,
I'm
we'll go
28.
with that. You think you're 28. We'll take that. We'll take that. So you've been taking photos for 15, 16 years then. Obviously not necessarily to the level that you are now, but this journey's been going on for quite a while.
Yes,
And how old are you when you started backpacking? When did
I was
that when did
I
that
was
journey begin?
23 when I started backpacking,
Mm,
and yes, I've been backpacking since then, and I'm still backpacking now during COVID. Um,
yeah.
Started the lockdown
Try,
in
trying
Argentina.
to.
Trying to started the lockdown in Argentina, and now here in the UK, 2 winters in a row, and and yes, trying to keep up photography and filmmaking. That is what I really like, to be able to go with the camera and tell stories.
So there was forgive me if I'm wrong. One of
Yeah,
your shots had two cyclists looking over a sort of like a mountain valley, and I want to say, was it in Slovenia or Slovakia?
yeah, that's in Slovenia. It's a
Slovenia.
very special photo for me, that one, because um, Slovenia became one of my very favorite places on earth while traveling,
Hmm.
very quickly. That has a lot to do with the people that I met there, and also with the landscape. And
And
after outside of Argentina for so long, being there in the Alps was like feeling at home. I was
I,
surrounded by
I that was
beautiful
exactly what I was
mountains.
about to say. Did you feel slightly at home in a location like that?
Yeah, and I also met some amazing people. I met people that live life for the sake of joy, and
Hmm. So yeah, so the whole idea of living life not by
yeah,
monetary values or not necessarily by achieving goals and gains and things like that. Just as long as you live life and enjoy it, that's kind of like what resonates with you the most.
yes. I met this amazing half Irish British guy, John,
Okay.
mountain biking center there, right, Slovenia,
Hmm.
and he lives for what he likes to do. He also enjoys photography, but he's big mountain biker, and
Oh,
he
okay.
brings people to his home. He takes them mountain biking every day, even when he has no clients. He's going out with his bike and cycling
And
and
he
doing
just lives
even,
for her.
yeah. And I met a very nice crew like that. People that love the outdoors, enjoy the outdoors, doing mountain biking, rock climbing, skateboarding. I felt a very big connection with Slovenia instantly. And in this picture, you have there two of uh, those persons. You have John and Blas, that they are these crazy guys that all they do is hit the mountains with some adventure and extreme sports. Doesn't matter if it is close. Uh,
It doesn't matter. I know what you mean. It doesn't matter about the weather, to come rain or shine.
Nothing.
They go out there and that's what they do.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
I guess, did you say his name was John?
Yeah.
I would imagine you and John are quite similar in the fact that perhaps not necessarily mountain biking, but with photography, it certainly seems like nothing really gets in your way. If you're going to
Yeah.
go and take photos, that's what you're going to go and do.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
And,
the nice
and
thing about photography is that it's something that you can do anywhere. You can do at home and
mhm.
capture a very little detail that creates a very special story for yourself and even for others. And you can go out even with the worst or best day and take out and bring some amazing memories and stories, of course.
Wow, you really know how to put things into words. That was quite something. Yeah, sort of. I always imagine, you create your own memories, but even when you're saying it doesn't matter where you are, whether you're at home, whether you're outside, where you are, like location wise, if you've got an eye for it, you really can sort of tell a story anywhere, can't you? Like you said. And do, do
Yeah.
you think that lockdown well, judging by that, it doesn't sound like lockdown had much of an impact on creativity for you, or am I wrong?
Um, I think that lockdown, if anything, gives us more time for
Hmm.
creativity. I think that if something gets more in the way for with creativity for me is um, spending too much time on the internet or on social media.
Hmm.
And the camera for me is my best excuse to go out for a walk.
Ah, I see. So it's almost like a distraction.
Yeah, the actually I think it's a reminder more than
Okay.
a distraction, a
Yeah.
reminder of what's important in life. And I think that in these kind of things, sometimes social media can be a distraction. In my case, at least.
Yeah. No,
Um,
like I completely understand that social media, especially with how it's going in modern days, it, it is a distraction, and then it's not just distraction, like you said. It takes away from reality, and we won't dwell on it too much. Obviously, we're here to talk about photography, but it's interesting that you said that using the camera as a reminder that what's important in life. Again, there's another thing I hadn't really considered. Sometimes I see photography as too much like work and not
mhm,
enough as something I should just enjoy, and that's something I'm learning at the moment. So
yeah.
to hear it from yourself like that is, have you gone through those periods before where photography kind of went from like a hobby that you enjoy doing to becoming a bit of a chore at any point, or has that not happened?
Oh, yeah, it definitely happened.
Hmm.
So a couple of years ago, I was in Morocco, and when you asked me about the worst places that I've been,
Hmm.
um, it wasn't Morocco a bad place to be. It's just I wasn't in a very great place emotionally.
Oh, I
Um,
see. Oh, yeah. And it
I
definitely
had
plays a part.
I had recently when soon after I arrived to Morocco, I was scammed doing freelance.
You were scammed.
Uh,
Scammed.
yeah, yeah,
Yep.
doing an online freelance job, and that really really affected me emotionally for the following year.
I
And
guess it kind of would have. Obviously, I have no idea. I wasn't, in your position at all. I haven't been in that position before, but I would imagine your sense of trust and people around you, you kind of become full of self doubt.
yes, and also suddenly doubting a lot about myself, believing that I can't make really clever decisions, and also trying to taking photography more as a job than as my hobby, because up until that moment photography was really my pleasure.
Mm.
And for the next year it became more like a chore and having to make it work for me to recover from this situation.
And
And
it's the worst
was,
feeling.
it is,
Like
especially because I was traveling through South America and
I was gonna say, like
Morocco.
in Morocco, particularly, there's one of the places I'd love to go and visit. It's got some, really quite extremely beautiful places, but to then have it completely ruined by one single event like that, do you think that having something like lockdown now, one of the worst things that's happened to the world in a long time now, do you think perhaps if it was to happen again, something like that, you would bounce back from it quicker?
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, yeah. Sorry, I said that in.
No, it's okay.
So no, 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 completely understand. So obviously you had something like that, and obviously it wasn't great what happened. And looking back in it, like in the grand scheme of things, compared to the rest of your life, it's a tiny little thing in the whole journey with photography that you've had, but it has such a lasting impact on your whole year, the following year after.
Mhm.
What I'm saying is perhaps with something as bad as lockdown and coronavirus, the pandemic that's been going on, do you think that now that you've kind of been through some worse things and you've had to really challenge yourself personally on like a creative level, that perhaps in future, if something like that was to happen again, it wouldn't be as bad, the effects on you?
Oh, definitely, definitely. I think that um, every problem that we face makes us stronger for the future. Um, I've been through a couple of things like doing rehab in the past was a big challenge for myself that
Oh
I went
wow.
through. Yeah, then
Do you want to talk more about that, or is that something you'd rather?
yeah, no. I'm really. I think that for a lot of people it's kind of like a taboo topic, but
Hmm.
for me it's something that I'm very proud of because it made me who I am, and it was a very important decision that I took in my life to um, take control of my
Hmm.
life. And yeah, quitting drugs for me was the moment when I realized that I was wasting a lot of time, and time became more important than ever to
Honestly,
live.
mate, you wouldn't. From For those of people at home who aren't aware of Caleb and myself, I've been talking to Caleb for probably a couple of months now about this project, and I never would have even had a clue. So just going a little bit off topic here, but fair play to you, mate, and you like talk about turning stuff around, and you wouldn't have a clue, and so hats off to you with that, and thank you for being so honest on this program about it. Like it,
Pleasure,
a
pleasure.
lot a
I
lot of
think
people wouldn't have the confidence to say stuff like that. So that's do you think? God, I don't want to. I'm trying to say this in the most sort of compassionate way possible, but do you think photography and having the camera and sort of following that same journey you've been on for a while played a part in helping you come back out of rehab?
uh, definitely. I think that photography, I think I mentioned this to you before, has been a witness for myself of the very best and the worst moments
Hmm.
in my life. Um, Going through my photos is a very great way of having perspective of how I used to think, I see things, what things used to mean
Hmm.
for myself, and having that perspective. Photography has been one of my very best friends and has been with me all along this path. Um, from even from when I started taking drugs, when I quit, when I started traveling, I went through the scam. I recovered. It became came lockdown, and also during lockdown is kind of the way for me now to move forward. Um,
Yeah.
in a moment, I have to leave the UK because
Yes, I remember you saying about
yeah,
this. This is
yeah,
the the thing is when you again, for the people outside a bit of outside context for this program, is that uh Caleb had already sort of informed me that his visa's ending and he has to go back home to South America. Caleb will fill us in a bit more on that in a minute. But beforehand, when I'd heard that, I I would have thought that going to a different place and having to move away would have affected you quite considerably. But by the sounds of it, it's just another challenge for you, a whole new adventure and a new beginning again.
exactly. I think that's it comes back to what you were asking me how um, photography works in my life and the things that come later in the way, like the lockdown or things that could happen in the future that could be seen as problems or challenges. I'm always very grateful that I have opportunities, and I think that having opportunities is a mindset, and it's a mindset that you can train easily through photography. For example, when you go out and you have a horrible day and you say, "Oh, I can't do anything," and actually there is a lot of beauty that you can create in that moment. And right now, that's what photography is doing for me. I'm having to take distance from my fiance,
Yeah, yeah.
not because we want, but this is imposed on us. And photography is the one thing that I'm really looking forward to because it doesn't matter where I go. I know that going with my camera, I will be able to, yeah,
That,
tell so many
just
beautiful stories that are out there waiting.
going back to links in perfectly with what you said at the start of our chat. You said home is wherever you love, and home is where you feel comfortable. And although perhaps going to Costa Rica, this is a whole new place for you and things like that. But do you think having the camera is going to make you feel comfortable and make you feel at home?
Yes, I think that I'm not sure yet if I'm going to Costa Rica or Argentina.
Ah, okay, okay,
I like to think that I'm going to Costa Rica.
yep,
But having the camera is has always been for me like a key to go out, meet people, open doors of opportunities to access to different locations that sometimes are kind of protected from the general public.
Yep.
And
Yep.
having a camera is, yes, please come because we need to tell this how we are protecting here the wildlife, or how are
Oh, I
we.
see. Okay. Yeah. 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 It sort of opens up a whole new world that not everyone gets to experience.
Definitely, definitely. I had some amazing opportunities in Tayrona National Park, that's in Colombia,
Hmm.
where we were taken to a place where people can't really go because they are trying to protect the coast
Yeah.
and
Yep.
the coral reef. And yes, going there to see how that is flourishing, and it, yeah, the camera is a great opportunity for myself, and I feel like I'm safe when I'm
Yeah.
traveling with a camera. I might not travel with a lot of money, but having my camera is something that can always give me an opportunity.
That is truly not just to myself, but to the people listening. I'm sure it's it's really motivational. It really, you know how to inspire people, and like you said, you might not have all the money in the world. You might not have all the money in the world with you at that point, but as long as you have your camera and you feel like you said at home, you can achieve anything. And I think when we end the chat now, sort of it that's a really great thing to take from all of this is that doesn't matter what position you are in, photography is the kind of thing that provides you with that escapism, which is what this project's all about. And you know, like you said, you can go to a whole new place. It can open, like you said, a key to these new lands that not everyone gets to go and experience, and you already feel at home in these new places. So it's been incredible speaking to you, Clem, and I hope you've enjoyed sort of filling us in on your experiences.
Yes, yeah. Thank you. Yes, I honestly I don't know where I'm going to be in the next 2 weeks or next week maybe, but
Wow, is it
I'm
as soon
happy.
as that then? Is it?
Yeah, yeah, they start soon. They start soon.
Well,
Um,
Caleb,
but I'm sure. Yeah.
I can't wait to see what you achieve in your next adventure, and obviously we'll stay in contact. And I'm sure the people who are watching here are going to be extremely excited to see. Obviously, by the time this goes out, you'll already be in either Costa Rica or Argentina. But I'm sure there'll be a lot of people now interested in your journey and wanting to follow you and see what happens next for Caleb, because I know I'm excited already, and I'm sure everyone else will be. So, again,
Yes.
I want to say thank you.
Thank you, George. Was amazing meeting you. And yes, what you are doing is very, very great because for me, being here in the UK was a couple of months, and being able to meet you, even if it was online
Yeah,
with the social distancing, that's what it does. This is what it does. Photography, being able to create these connections and relating to others that have a very similar perspective about life. And yeah, it was great to meet you, and thank you for having me and having me as part of this amazing book.